Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die.
And we are back.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Praises be to Allah. In the most holy name of Allah, being witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger, I would like to greet you all in a beautiful greeting words of peace in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam, ma'am.
So so those of you who are coming into the room, come on into the room. So you see, I have the 50 piece. I have finally made it to the 50 rim.
It's about time.
No way.
It's about time.
Congratulations. Welcome to the club, sis.
You look so young. That's gotta be
I know. Is that real? Did she really turn 50? I don't know.
50. That. Listen, I'm so happy and so thankful and so grateful to Allah. So grateful to my mother and my father. So grateful to these teachings.
Come on.
So grateful to everything that has brought me to this.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So thank you. And listen, I don't want to belabor the point because y'all, but I could throw my cash out. I'm just kidding. No, y'all listen.
What
they can do? No, what they can do.
What can they do?
For my birthday, this is what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to give.
For her birthday.
Give to the Seventh Reason Coalition. Y'all can do that.
Okay.
Y'all want to celebrate my birthday? Because my birthday was on the 19th of April, by the way. So that was Sunday. But if y'all want to give for my birthday, give it to the Seventh Reason Coalition, where we are constantly saving lives, fulfilling lives, elevating lives, awakening lives. So my birthday, I don't want nothing. Give it to, listen, I don't want nothing, but I want something. Get it to the Seventh Region Coalition. Praises be to Allah. And with that being said, I am going to turn it over to you. Or Brother Tony, would you like for me to do a demonstration on how they can get access to the website from YouTube? Because I know that there was a lot of people that was having some questions. So I'm going to do a quick tutorial, on how you can access the website from YouTube. Let me pull it up really quickly here. I am going to be sharing my screen. And okay, so As you can see, I've already, and okay, let me pause that. But what you'll do, you'll actually just type in 7th region. See, I already have it up here. 7th region coalition. And once you type in 7th region coalition, it's going to come up. We would love for you to subscribe. So you can click on the subscribe button here. But these are our latest shows. So you'll see where it actually has live here. And once you click on the live, you'll actually be on and in tune with the show with us. Okay. So if y'all have any questions, concerns, please feel free to give us a call. We will be more than obliged to assist you with getting on to the show. And we also screen as well on Facebook. So, and Twitch. Yeah. So you can just type in on Facebook. Let me see if I can go to Facebook, you guys. Facebook. And I never have Facebook up, y'all. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay, so Facebook. Go to my Facebook. I'm going to this page here. And I am going to now share my screen. Where are you guys at? I'm sharing my screen again. I'm going to Facebook. And you can go to your search. And you can also type in 7th region coalition. As you can see that we are live there. And you can go, well, these are the but this one here is kind of like the backyard, well, the managing page. But yeah, if you type in the 7th region coalition, it is going to come up. And once it comes up, you will also see us live as well. So again, I just wanted to kind of give you all that tutorial of how to get access to the page. And I am going to turn it over to you, Brother Tony. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. I am honored. That's it, Kalila.
Why are you on?
We've done this so many times. Let me begin properly, dear family. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom holy praises are forever due, the Lord of the world who came in the person of Master Father Muhammad, the Supreme Being to whom holy praises are forever due. I am forever thankful to Almighty God Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the exalted Christ, and now Mahdi, the eternal leader of the nation of Islam. And I thank them both for the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, the Messiah of Allah's Christ in our midst. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Abaragani, Hotep, free to land. Buenas noches. Greetings. Welcome to your Thursday night talks, which is spearheaded by the 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives. The 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives was assembled by our student regional minister, Student Minister Patrick Muhammad, in the midst of the pandemic, but more so the criterion message, which was in the midst of the pandemic of 2020. And that lecture took place on July 4th, 2020. And we were assembled to help guide our people to safety in the midst of so much confusion, as we are being confused today. We're in a different type of pandemic, but a pandemic that has not left us, which is riddled with so much confusion especially on how to live life, how to find our mate, which is one of the sciences that our open enemy did not want us to learn about. Tonight, our focus is through the ministry of spiritual development. And these ministries were given to us by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan in the midst of the Millions More movement back in 2005. These are 9 ministries, all geared towards saving lives, because they help us find our purpose in life and help us to view the world through special lenses, through views that we must attain if we seek to become successful. Here we're dealing specifically with the Ministry of Spiritual Development, which is the base to them all. The Ministry of Spiritual Development bears responsibility for assisting the individual member of the community in the process of heeding truth and right guidance. Respect, honor, and obedience to the authority of the Creator in all aspects of life are essential to peace, harmony, freedom, justice, and equality. In the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, self-development is an absolutely essential component of this microcosm of the new world. It is not enough that we grow horizontally through the acquisition of farms, factories, banks, industry, trade, commerce, money, good homes. Horizontal growth alone is death. All dead things are on a horizontal level. Therefore, we must grow vertically, grow in uprightness, or we will be overcome by our horizontal growth. The foundation of this ministry are study and training units designed on the guidance of Allah God to produce self-examination, self-analysis, self-correction, and to quicken in each and every one of us the self-accusing spirit. For it is only when we are awakened morally that we have to face the self-accusing spirit that leads to our resurrection. With that, introducing and reintroducing our guest for this evening for part 2 on this beautiful discussion on the importance of intentional courtship, I will hand this over to Brother Mark.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My distinct honor
sir.
It is my distinct honor to introduce once again to this program our dear sister, my dear sister. Sister A.T. Hamid Kashmir was born and raised in the Nation of Islam, where she has held numerous posts since the age of 14. She brings years of practical work with youth and families of various backgrounds through her work at family agencies, community-based organizations, and the legal system as a former employee of the Atlanta Fulton County Juvenile Court. She is a trained mediator with direct work experience in supporting youth who are trafficked, and in gangs. She has worked in politics, including serving on the executive staff for a former congresswoman, and is skilled in program development, evaluation, and strategic planning. She has a passion for the arts, dance, acting, painting, research, poetry, writing, travel, fitness, and fashion. In 2004, with the blessings and support of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Sister A.T. organized the Nation of Islam Singles Retreats and launched the Healthy Relationships Initiative, Incorporated, with a team of wonderful FOI and MGT volunteers. The purpose of the Healthy Relationship Initiative is to strengthen family and relationships among youth, adults, and seniors. She and the team have convened annual retreats, webinars, and the Family Summit Conference, all centered around strengthening our families while emphasizing personal wellness. Future plans include relaunching the retreats and the Family Summit to serve our people. Sister A.T. currently serves as Student Protocol Director for Austin's Muhammad Mosque number 64. Let's bring back to Thursday Night Talks our dear sister, Sister A.T. Hamid Kashmir. Bring her on.
Wa alaikum salam.
Our dear sister would like to share just a few opening words. So Sister A.T. will give you that opportunity at this time.
Okay, thank you. I would like to open up in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I greet everybody. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, ma'am.
Wow.
There's anybody in the listening audience who does not know what those words mean, it's simply peace be unto you. I am very honored to be here, honored to be in this company of brothers and sisters. And you know what? Brother Mark just mentioned the retreats that we started with. And I just want to take an opportunity, just 30 seconds. I want to just say the names of all those who have helped over the years. I may miss somebody, and I hope I don't. But I just want to say their names because all of what we did, all of the retreats in the various regions throughout the country, it could not have been made possible with these following brothers and sisters. So here we go. Our very own Brother Mark. Sister Lydia, Sister Vicky, Dallas, Sister Kadira, New York, Sister Dr. Monique, New York, Brother Raymond, Chicago, Sister Teresa X Torres in California, yes. Brother Richard X, Sister Tiffany, Sister Charlotte in, Sister Charlotte, you're gonna get me, Wisconsin. Right here in Austin, Brother Assad in Ohio, Sister Charlene, Sister Khadijah in, Khadijah, don't get me, New York or New Jersey? Newark, that's right. Sister Dr. Monica, California. Sister Nicola is in Georgia, Atlanta. Sister Nicole is in Delaware Valley. Sister Sherdrea X, and also Sister Sonia. She's in Phoenix, Arizona. She was one of the first people that came to help. Sister Courtney in North Carolina. Brother Terrence. You all know, everybody knows Brother Terrence, okay? Brother Terrence in Greensboro, North Carolina. And also my brother, Bana, who lives in Atlanta, Georgia. So please forgive me if I forgot anybody who was not listed on here. But I just wanted to give them a shout out because, like I said, everything that we do, we always have somebody to help us. So I wanted to just open up with a couple of words, if you all could indulge me, no more than 5 minutes. I wanted to say that in terms of who we attract into our lives, those of us who are single, Marie Osmond said something that I never forgot. She said, you attract at the level that you're on. And I'm sure you all have heard that water seeks its own level.
That's right.
She said, and those words stuck with me because I think it was right around that time I may have been engaged. But she said, you attract at the level that you're on. So make sure that when you go into a relationship with somebody, whether it's courtship, whether you just get married, make sure that your level is up here and not down here. Make sure that if you're on a cruising on a low vibration, maybe you just got through something, it may not be the best time to enter into a courtship with somebody. Right. The other thing that I wanted to just mention is my father showed me this diagram a long time ago. Actually, he showed it to those of us at number 32 back in the day. I just want to show you all, and I want you to tell me quickly what you see. This is the first one. Can you all see this?
Wow. No.
Can barely see that. Okay, that's a little bit better.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit.
Okay, I see
like some lines.
Looks like
hair.
Do
you see lines going every which way?
Yeah.
Yes. Looks like little hairs.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, but I should have used a darker marker. But it's lines that are going in all kind of different directions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what do you see here?
They're going in the same
direction.
Aligned.
Yeah, uniformity.
Looks like they're all horizontal.
Exactly. Which one has the greater attracting force?
Straight line.
Uniformity. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the whole lesson in this was when we were, this was in the early 80s that he showed us this diagram. It never left me because it's something that we can apply to our own lives. I was just talking with somebody the other day about trauma bonds, and a lot of times we go through trauma and we don't heal properly from it.
Mhm.
And when we don't heal properly from it, our lines are not like this. We're not in alignment internally. And oftentimes we internalize the trauma to the point that the trauma becomes a part of our identity. And when it becomes a part of our identity, we act out of it. We act out of that identity because you act out of how you see yourself. You act out of how do you feel about yourself. So one of the most important things that I want to impart is that we have to heal whatever emotional trauma that we've been through, brothers and sisters alike, because if you don't, that's the level that you're going to attract at. That is who you are going to attract. You're probably going to attract somebody who has some kind of something going on the inside, but always remember you are not what happened to you. A lot of times we go through a trauma, it becomes a part of our identity after who we are has been shattered. And when we rebuild with that trauma as an integral part of us. And one of the biggest things that we have to do is separate what happened to us, separate that from who we are. And that goes right into the law of attraction. The law of attraction, I know everybody's heard about law of attraction.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
right.
ma'am.
So it's based upon the thought or the idea that our feelings and our thoughts are a form of energy that can attract similar energy, which can draw to us whatever it is that we focus on. And I wanted to just say that it's not some spooky esoteric thing where, you know, we just send out a thought and some magically thing happens where it comes back to us. Actually, when we think a thought and when we generate an emotion, there's a chemical process that happens in the brain, which involves our electrons, our protons, our neutrons. So every time we think a thought, we generate tiny atoms unseen to us, but it goes out into the environment. Those atoms are real. And every time we think that thought, it produces a chemical reaction called thought. And that chemical reaction just doesn't stay there. It goes out. And it goes out and it binds to similar atoms that travel on the same wavelength. And then what happens is it draws it back to us. It's part of the law of attraction. And that's why I wanted to say that, because it's not a real spooky thing where, I'm just going to think a thought and hope. When you think that thought, you bring in it, whatever it is that you're thinking, you're bringing it back to us. The last thing I wanted to just mention was, I think we talked a little bit about writing your story. And the thing that I was thinking about was, we're talking about the 24 scientists, and the original man writes his history in advance. And I thought about those scientists and I said, you know what we were, the information that was imparted to us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was that those scientists study the thinking of the people. They study the prevailing circumstances that are going on at that particular time. And they mathematically, they measure the thinking and look at through the law of cause and effect. They're able to project what's going to happen 25,000 or so years down the line. So I said, what I wonder what it would be like for us to just sit down, and I'm just going to ask you all, just do it. Just try it. Take a minute. If you're not married, even if you're married, you can do it. And just sit down and write out your history in advance of what it is that you believe you will attract, who you will attract in your life as a husband or a wife. If you are already married and you have a family, you can do the same thing. You can write out the history of what your family is going to accomplish in the next, I don't know, pick a year, 20 years, 10 years, whatever it is. But I'm going to throw it out there, and I just want you all to just do it. Just try it. Sit down, look at the thinking of the people around you, look at the environment that you're in, look at who you're surrounded by, and write out your prophecy. I'm not going to say write it out for 25,000 years, because I don't think we're going to be here that long, but I just wanted to just say that just go ahead and do that. And I had a thought on luck, and I had also a thought on random, but I'm not going to go into that because, well, I'll just touch on it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I was talking to my mom once, and she said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told her there is a such thing as luck. So I went and I looked up what is the definition of luck. How do we luck on to certain people? How is it that some of us we are, they say, oh, I was lucky to find my husband, I was lucky to find my wife, or whatever. Luck is not, it's mathematical, actually. The same thing with what we think is random is not necessarily random. And those of us who are in mathematics can pretty much look at what that is. But I just wanted to just throw that out just for food for thought as we go about thinking about drawing to us a mate, particularly for those of us who are single. So thank you all for these few minutes, and I am ready to roll.
Sister A.T., just bearing witness to what you just said right now, I heard Minister Rasul, may Allah be pleased with him, he defined luck as preparation, meeting, opportunity.
Absolutely, yes.
And so we're in preparation mode.
Right.
There's more that I could go into. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did talk about luck, or being lucky in Message to the Black Man in America, but I'm not going to go on a tangent right now. We did have members of the audience that did ask questions last time, and there was quite a few of them. We want to go into some of those questions first. I'm going to go ahead and post this question on the screen. I'm going to put it in the chat. Okay. So everybody can see it. Okay. Let me put it up right here. So this is from Gift for Life. Health Enlightenment. Assalamu alaikum. It seems like back in the day, the older laborers counseled the younger single brothers and sisters more towards courtship and were good at helping to match believers. And decades ago, we were more committed to the institution of marriage, and our characters were more spiritual and strong. What do you attribute to the less interaction between the two?
I looked at that question and I said to myself, well, number one, I can't speak for the entire nation and what's going on in the entire nation. And because I do know that in certain cities, and I, like I said, I can only speak on the cities that I've seen, that I've interacted with. But for example, I know in the Southwest region, I know in the certain regions or certain cities, there's more emphasis on it. It could be because there are more single brothers and sisters in that particular place, where they're able to organize more of singles activities. I know in the Southwest, the number 45 Southwest region, they have a pretty strong singles ministry. So I do think it depends on where you live. But then on the other side of that, I think also staffing also plays into that too. We've lost some very heavy hitters in education who promoted marriage. For example, Sister Dr. Aba Muhammad. Very big on marriage, very big on courtship, all the whole relationships. Our student minister, Brother Rasul. These are people that we've lost. And I don't want to, I don't want to say lost, but because they left so much behind, but they're no longer here.
To Allah. Right.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah. And so, some of those gaps haven't been filled yet. I think some of us are striving to help fill that. And then I think on the other side of it, study is a huge part of it too. When we know and study family and the importance of family, then we know how important it is to a nation in terms of being the foundation of a nation. So if you're new in a position, you may not have that same understanding as somebody who's been here for a long time
Right,
and
right.
been able to see. So I think it depends on where you are, because like I said, from my vantage point in this region that I'm in, I know it's pushed very heavily, but it may not be in another region. And I think there are factors that go into that.
Sister AT, do you believe that there are some cultural factors? And what I mean by that is generational, because the newer generations, it seems like as we're becoming more technologically oriented, we're always on our phones and we're more closed and into ourselves and more what they call introverted. Do you think that that plays into a factor?
I think that could play as a factor, because in fact they were just doing a thing on the news about how I think it was California, they're getting away from computers in the classroom, or cutting down on it, because when you have, without this,
Right.
we're forced to interact with each other, face to face. We used to, I know in the early 80s, there was a lot of traveling, particularly Minister Farrakhan traveled around the country. A lot of us traveled around the country with him. So there was a lot of interaction. And then just also between cities and cities, like I mentioned the last time we were here, when I lived in Phoenix, there was a lot of interaction between Phoenix and California. We would travel and visit and see people. Nowadays we have this. We have our webinars, like what we're right now. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, because I think on the one hand, it can increase interaction between us. But there's nothing like face-to-face human contact without the screen. So I do think that does play some part in it, and it does have some impact in it.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah. Well, there is another question that we had from the audience, Sister AT.
I'm going to post it, Brother Mark.
And she's going to post it, but I'm going to interpret it. Okay. Because our dear sister, not to shed bad light on our sister, she works while watching the program, and she likes to be involved. And this question came as a result of her speaking into the technology, and the technology typing what the technology thinks she said. So this is my interpretation of what's on the screen, if that's okay. Our sister basically questioning about the retreats that you convened in the past, and she noticed that in these past retreats, you would have these panels of married couples, and they would answer questions from the singles at the retreat. So she was just curious to know, how were you able to organize and make that happen, to bring all those people into that one venue? And it seems that would have been took a lot of organizing and even maybe costs as well. So she was just curious to know, how were you able to bring that about?
Really just networking, and also through just organizing, basic organizing. And those brothers and sisters that I just listed, they were a part of that. But in terms of bringing on panels of people, what we did is we looked at, we have different committees. We have the program committee, transportation committee, finance committee, different committees. So, the program committee would basically work on bringing in people. And then we would, of course, get suggestions from the group. But then the program committee put together what was going to happen and who we needed in terms of the panels to sit on it. And then we thought it was extremely important that we involve married couples at the singles retreats, because number one, they have valuable input, feedback.
Right.
And of course, there was criteria. You had to be married more than 3 years, because we know that 3 years is, you have trials, right? So there were certain criteria that we had when we brought in speakers. Like I said, they had to have been married a certain amount of time, and they had to be able to exhibit some amount of success in their marriage. And then, that was just, it was through networking. That was a big part of it. And so I think that I hope that kind of answers the question. It's being organized, setting up committees, networking, and then bringing people in who believed in what we were doing. And let me just say this about networking. Networking is extremely important. You know, my father used to say all the time, hypocrites network more than believers.
Oh my God.
They network faster, and they're pretty effective at networking.
Wow.
And that's why they are put the smash on us a lot of times. But, the important thing though is that they mature faster, and so they die out faster. And believers tend to be a little bit slower. So that was one thing that was always emphasized to me, was the importance of networking, getting to know people, talking to people, you know, just regardless of where you are. And I feel blessed that I've been able to meet brothers and sisters throughout the country, and we've been able to do things together. So, you know, networking, I would say that's one of the most important things in terms of organizing.
Praise you. Thank you, sis.
I completely agree. And here's another question by Indigo Dalpin. How much financial information should be shared in the courtship? Bank statements, stocks and bonds, property acquisitions. For example, how much in-depth information is necessary to be shared?
Okay. I would say you don't want to share everything all at one time.
Yes, ma'am.
Because number one, that may not be the person you end up deciding to get married.
Facts. You know, tell all your little business to them.
No, right. You don't want to kind of hold back a little bit, okay? But because you know, say those first, I would say the first anyway, 2 to 4 weeks, whatever, you're trying to get to know that person just on a base level. And those first few weeks, number one, you should be trying to find out what is their attitude towards money. Are they a saver? Are they a spender? Does money cause them anxiety? You want to kind of get to know those real basic things about that person and their approach to finances. And I want to say this is extremely important, because what do we know? We know that most marriages break up due to what? Finances. Communication, finances, those are right at 1 and 2. So that's the first thing that you want to try to find out. And then the next thing you want to try to find out is, what is their work ethic? What is their attitude towards we talked about saving on the base level, but what are their plans towards saving? You know, before you get into that bank account, you want to find out, what are your plans towards X, Y, and Z? Do you even have a plan? Do you have a short-term plan? Do you have a long-term plan? You also want to find out, right around this time, you should kind of be finding out, what are the red flags? Before you get into that, like those investments and our bank accounts and stuff like that, you want to find out, do they have red flags? Red flags could be, do they have a gambling problem? And, I mean, you can be in the NOI and still have a gambling problem. Some of us have some financial problems. Is this a person who is truthful about their finances? Some people lie about their employment. You want to find out if they say they're employed. Are they really employed? How do you verify it? Does this person have and let me say, you kind of moving into the next stage, you know, you kind of get into that month 2 and 3, 2, 3, and 4, whatever. That's when you kind of find out about, okay, does this person have a mountain of debt? Does this person have and sometimes you got to analyze it before you cross that person off your list. You got to analyze, what is that debt made of? For example, when I got married, I still had student loans. Thank Allah, I no longer have my student loans, but I did. I'm glad my husband didn't cross me out. It was taken care of.
Man.
The other thing you want to find out is, do they have a mountain of debt because of stuff that they really should have taken care of. For
Credit
example,
cards.
business credit cards, exactly.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna get into something that's a little touchy, but brothers,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mm.
child support,
Mhm.
Okay. Yes,
and
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
child support. You know, those
Mhm.
are things that are extremely important to talk about.
Mm.
And it's and I'm gonna
Sister
say
A,
that child support is big.
It
Yes.
is
Sister
big.
A, I was going to say, oh, can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm really glad that you're differentiating good debt from bad debt,
Right.
because good debt is you bought a house and so
Mhm.
you have a mortgage, or you're renovating it, so you took out a
Right.
loan for that, or
Right.
you've gone back to school to elevate yourself. It worked. You're in a better position, or whatever that course is helped you in your company, and now you're able to bid for more contracts. That's good debt, right?
Right.
And then there's the other debt of bills just never been paid, outstanding medical bills never been paid, child support in the rearage, other expenses like a repo of a car you never paid, like things like that.
Right.
That would be more like bad debt. So there
Right.
is a difference there. I'm really glad you
There is.
differentiated that.
Yes, there is a difference.
Sister AT, it's so serious in Florida in particular that if you haven't been paying child support, they could revoke your license,
Right.
your driver's license.
Exactly. That's and you know what I say that child support is really, it's been used in certain instances as a stick to beat fathers.
Right.
And I have to say this because when I got married, my husband had children from a previous marriage. They were teenagers. He was paying child support. But every single chance that the attorney general could get to get my husband, they tried it. And I'm just saying from experience, every brother out there who is dealing with child support issues, you need to find out get the details, find out what's really going on. Because sometimes, like I said, sometimes the attorney general uses that to beat our brothers and beat them down. And sometimes they're, if sometimes you have some bad lawyering that went on that was not, I would say, friendly towards the father. It was not equitable. So those are things that you have to dig into and not just take it on a surface level that, form an opinion about somebody that may not necessarily be true. So that's it in a nutshell. Oh, and in terms of the question, in terms of investments and your portfolio, I think once you establish the base of that person's attitude, you've ascertained that this is a responsible person financially. They are employed. You've done your checking, and then if you decide to move towards engagement, I believe that's when you start sharing some of that nitty gritty stuff. You find out, you open up Brother Mark's portfolio and you find out this brother got $5 million in investments. So
My God.
Man,
exactly.
I had no idea, Brother Mark.
And I'm just saying
Don't
that's
tell.
we won't tell, but I'm just saying that's when you want to you dig into the some of the nitty gritty stuff when you are moving towards or in engagement, because sometimes it'll kind of, sometimes you don't want to let people know you got $5 million right away.
Right.
But if it's good for them to know that you're gainfully employed, that you are able to bring in money to support a family, sometimes that's adequate. And let me just say this: before my husband and I got married, we did exchange credit reports. I think right at the point where we pretty much knew that we were going to get married, just before he, popped the question, we exchanged that information, and I thought it was important because for me, and I have a background in grant writing. the way I look at money, it's money. Money tells a story. How you deal with your funds, it tells a story. So he looked at mine, I looked at his. We knew exactly what was going on, and we proceeded on to the next step. So I hope that answered the question.
Yes, it did. And I have a very good question, Sister AT. This is, this is one of those questions where back in the day we would say, that's obvious, but not today. And there's a lot that's going on. Not everybody's privy to valuable resources like the Courtship Manual. So this question goes like this. In courtship, is it advisable to exchange gifts, money, flowers? I'll get your plane ticket. You behind in your rent, beloved? I got you. Is that advisable to exchange gifts? And why or why not?
Absolutely not. Do not exchange.
What you talking about?
No.
Please explain to the people in the back why not.
How long? The brother can't get me no flowers?
Wait, let it explain.
No.
Let explain.
Okay,
I'm just asking.
Okay.
She's gonna explain.
Let me read to you what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's what I'm talking about. Come with the receipts.
This is what he advised us. Okay.
Listen to the minister.
Number one, you're in courtship.
Right.
These are my words. Okay. You're in courtship. You have taken that person to court to ascertain information about that person before a judge, before a jury. Jury could be family and friends.
That's right.
And I'll quote, he said, you don't give gifts to the judge. If you give a gift to the judge and the judge accepts it, that is bribing the judge for a decision. Courtship is not about gift giving. Courtship is about the serious business of discovery of one another. The giving of gifts is a no-no in courtships. And
No said.
You know that song, Destiny's Child, Can You Pay My Bills? No, we're not doing that.
Period.
We are not doing that. Because after the courtship is over, who's gonna pay your bills and whatever? So this is not that. Absolutely not.
Car's not working no more. Let me buy you a new car.
But I love the analogy of, you're putting yourself in that courtroom setting.
Right.
And there is no exchanging of gifts while you're in court. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like you said, if you try to even appease the judge with anything, you can get sentenced to a lot of time,
Exactly.
So that, but so so looking at that concept, and again,
bad marriage.
To the Kalila, just on very real terms, if a brother's buying something super expensive and on the anticipation, oh yeah, I'm gonna get married with her, like buying a car, like how I said, or buying something expensive, and then a week later, oh no, brother, I don't think it's gonna work out, and now she has a car. I was like,
right?
Huh? That's gonna be a very angry brother.
Exactly.
And you already took it out of the boundaries of courtship.
Exactly. And that's a key word, boundaries. That's exactly. Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny that you mentioned this, because I remember that I was in a courtship a while back, and we were literally in a courtship, and the brother was at the barbershop talking to this brothers, saying that, he already got the ring. And I'm like,
wow.
Already got what ring? Mama, must be a ring for his mama. He can't got a ring for me. We in courtship. We just started. But this brother was determined that this courtship, again, was going to lead to a marriage.
This is it. This is it right here.
This is it. look at showing the brothers the ring. Yeah, I got this ring for sister so and so. I was like, what? And you know me,
Mhm.
overheard. I found out that that was happening, and so I had to end the courtship with the brother. And he was like, "No, I was just, showing the brothers that what I can do for you." I said, "But you don't even know me.
Mhm.
How would you even present something to somebody and you haven't even discussed that with me?" You know
Slow
what I'm
down.
saying? Right. So I think that you that is very wise, because again, it clouds the judgment of the
Mhm.
courtship.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
absolutely.
And that sounded like ego right there.
Yeah.
And a little
Yeah.
braggadocious to the brothers,
That-
Right.
and he hadn't even checked with you, like,
and
Right.
that
okay,
and that's
Like,
from
what?
the
all right,
world.
right.
That's not our culture.
Right.
No, that's not
No.
our
Exactly.
way.
Right.
Yeah, that was
Exactly.
I
And
was like, what?
right. And you know what? Let me just say this. Sometimes it could be a red flag when somebody's rushing a courtship. You know,
Mm.
that can be a red flag, because why are you trying to get married in 2 weeks? You know,
Right.
just saying. You don't want somebody to rush through it, and yes, that's a red flag. So be
Right.
careful of that. But let me say, on the other side, we do have to be patient, and we do have to inform newer. Say you have somebody who's new in the fold, and they feel, hey, this is what I've always done. I mean, I had a brother that presented me with a couple of $100. We weren't in courtship, but he just felt like he wanted to give me a couple of $100. And so I said, thank you, brother. I sent it back. I explained to him, and that was the end of that. But he didn't know. So, it's
Right.
sometimes we have to inform each other. So
Mhm.
Praises be to Allah.
Voila.
Sister 18, we have this very beautiful, beautiful quote that a nation can't rise no higher than its woman. It is a principle that is taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, stating that a nation, progress, and strength are directly tied to the status, education, and the respect afforded to its woman. It analyzes its power. It analyzes the empowerment women is essential for the advancement and moral foundation of society. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan also inserted that because the women are the primary educator of children and their status determine the overall quality of the nation, what do you think as a woman, and let me rephrase this, what can we do as women to create a mental and moral atmosphere to pour into society that is on a rapid decline?
okay, it's a good question. I would say the first thing is, let's say this person is wanting to go into a courtship or is in a courtship. One of the important things is to, as they say, guard the courtship gate.
Mm,
Mean,
Mm.
choose a person with wisdom, not just for romantic reasons. He looks good, or brother, shoot, he sold 500 final calls and drive a nice car. those are not adequate reasons to court somebody.
No.
And the other thing is, you have to cultivate your own mind first, because you can't pour from an empty well. So I think one of the most important things that a woman can do is first invest in herself, invest in her mind, invest in her wellness, and investing in who she is, so that when you do have a family, that family is coming in on a strong foundation. And it's not just the woman by herself. We know that it takes a man too to have a strong family. But I'm just saying that that's one of the most important things that a woman can do in terms of putting forth a and atmosphere.
Mhm.
The other thing is sisters have to make sure that we are mature, not only intellectually, mentally, emotionally, but also spiritually,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
making sure that we have that divine connection with the Almighty God Allah. Because if you
Beautiful.
don't have a connection with Almighty, if you don't have a connection with God, then you don't have an anchor. There's
Mm.
nothing that is anchoring you in place that will anchor your family. And the next thing I would say is, in terms of creating that atmosphere, that moral atmosphere, that has to be something that you do on a daily basis.
Mhm.
It has to be a habit of your mind, a habit of your thought, a habit of your daily activities, because you don't all of a sudden, get married and then you know, develop this environment. That has to be who you are. It
Right.
has to be what you bring to the table when you're going to marry somebody. You should already be into the habit of having a certain environment in your own home. If you're not at peace in your own home,
Mm.
with your own self, then you're not going to have that when you get married to somebody. So
Right.
I would say one of the biggest things, and you know what? I was looking for this. There's this video. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share it on my Instagram. I came across a video a long time ago and I saved it. And they were talking about the health of children. One of the biggest determinants of the health of children, particularly emotionally and mentally, is their mother. If the mother is more depressed and somehow it impacts the child, and it determines that child's state of mind even more so than the father. So it's extremely important that women, sisters, invest in yourself, invest in
Mhm.
your well-being, invest in making sure that you are on a healthy level prior to getting into any kind of marriage or courtship. So I think that's hopefully answers the question.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does.
Sister 18, I have a question.
Mhm.
How important, because we could be, there is the phase of um asking questions, we shouldn't stop asking questions.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But how important is it to practice to become your courtmate's best friend during the courtship process, especially after hey, this right here, there, it looks like it's going towards engagement.
Okay.
How important is it to practice being your courtmate's best friend?
You know what, brother? I would personally not necessarily try to be their best friend.
Hmm.
I would reserve that towards my spouse. I would want
Mm.
to become my spouse's best friend, but for that person, I, I would just we would try to be friends, but not best friend. So I
I see.
wanted to say that off the outset. But I think that's very important. I think how important is it? I think it's very important because if you don't know each other from a friendly basis and a friendly understanding, you really don't know each other. Um, and friendship, think about when you become friends with somebody. Friendship grows out of um, an authenticity and a genuine wanting to get to know that person for who he or she is.
Yes.
And I think when you are approaching somebody, it kind of takes the pressure a little bit off when you approach somebody that you're wanting to go in courtship, whether maybe you all just started courtship. But if you approach each other with a friendly understanding, just start off. I want to get to know who this person is as
Yes.
a friend, you know, because if the courtship doesn't result in marriage, at least I know I've got a friend after all
Right.
is done.
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
So I would just approach it, from that standpoint of view. Um, because like I said, if you're not genuinely interested in that person and vice versa, you're not going to get to know each other. You know, I mean, if I were in courtship with somebody and we weren't friends, how far is that courtship going to last? It's not going to go too far. You know, I'm not going to get to know certain things about that person if we don't have a friendly understanding.
Right.
And then again, if you do happen to get married, then, you know, you've got a friend for life, hopefully. And then that person will evolve into your best friend. And, you know, all the studies show that people who marry their best friend or people who marry those marriages last. When you marry a stranger, that does not last. And, you know, relationships, we did a poll. And one of the things that we found out, because we polled people who were divorced, I'm telling you, one of the number one feedback that we got was that we were not friends. We were not friends before we got married. Wow. We went through the checklist. We questioned each other. Okay, I match you here. You match me there. But when all is said and done, we weren't friends.
Wow.
And friends, wow. It ended up being, you know, they ended up drifting apart and they got a divorce. Because like I said, a friendship involves, I'm genuinely interested in who you are as a person.
Right.
On a mental, on a physical, a spiritual, emotional level. And it's not just, you know, I'm just going through the motions of checking the boxes and, you know, to see how compatible we are. But then, yet we don't like each other because, you know, friends like each other.
Right.
And if you don't like each other, then why are you together? You know?
Right.
So that is very important.
Praise be to Allah.
Wow.
You remind me, Sister AT, when you said that, the minister talked about we would meet our mates doing the work. So if we're doing the work, you're developing a friendship with those that you work with, right? Because you're doing the work. So that's very important. When you were answering Sister Khalila's question, and you talked about the importance of women taking care of themselves and becoming whole, you know, I started giving some thought to, of course, our lessons, right? We're taught who is the original man. The original man is the Asiatic Black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God in the universe. And then if you take all of those and define them and break them down, right? Maker, owner, cream of the planet Earth. Well, what does that look like? God in the universe in terms of what that person would be able to do. I mean, there should be nothing the Black man can't do if he really truly embodies that definition of who he is, right? And what he has rights to. However, what we've been hearing a lot of is that there's a crisis with men, and that not just Black men, but men as a whole. Right. So speaking from just the perspective of the Black community, I started thinking about some new terms that I've heard lately. I'm gonna share those with you, and then I'm gonna read the question to you. Okay. Cognitive triage. And I was like, what is cognitive triage? So, you know, I'm a little nerdy. I looked it up. Cognitive triage is basically a mental emergency, like a mental emergency room where the most critically ill receive immediate treatment, sorting urgent issues or what's perceived as urgent. So life-threatening versus non-urgent. Life-sustaining versus not important. Some would say marriage is life-sustaining versus not being married. Brother Student Minister Tony shared several shows ago that the minister says single people are handicapped. So if you know that you're missing something, you're literally handicapped, you don't have the other half of your faith. So that means you're not necessarily thinking and having all the information because you don't have a spouse. You don't have that other person who doesn't think like you to balance you out. Then here comes here's another term, behavior inertia. What is behavior inertia? So I looked up the word inertia. You know, the minister in the Nation of Islam, for viewers who are not in the nation, we're taught to clear the word, right? To look up words we don't know and understand. So inertia, lack of activity or interest or unwillingness to make an effort to do anything, a tendency not to change what's happening, resistance, disinclination to change, even laziness. And then some synonyms would be habit persistence, status quo, passive compliance, um, unambitious. So behavior, inertia, and then AI, because why not use AI? AI told me behavioral inertia is the psychological tendency to continue current behaviors or habits or routines, resisting change unless acted upon by a strong external force. So if we have the majority of Black men in the Black community, right, not getting married, and if we did the math and said, okay, there are more single men, Black men, than married Black men, apparently there's some behavioral inertia going on, right? So then what's the solution? According to AI, it said behavioral inertia is often disrupted by significant interventions, such as changing the environment, triggering a new habit, or significant outside force.
Mm.
An outside force to move that person out of an inertia state into action, right? All right. So then I thought, well, what could move the men out of a, basically inertia state into some movement? So I said, it's got to be something in our teachings that pretty much by law dictates that we need to be getting married, right? So then I went to our Constitution. For those, yeah, we about to go there. So who does not know, the Nation of Islam has its own constitution, right? So in our Constitution,
Original.
Article 6, conduct of the laborers, then, oh, excuse me, Article 7, women's rights. That's the one I want to read.
Yeah, there you
Okay.
go. Article 7. My
Women's,
favorite.
Article 7, that's the one. Okay, it says, a woman shall rise as high as her God given gifts and talents allow her in her own interest and in the interest of her nation within the framework of the laws of Islam. Any action, inaction, remember, we just read what inertia is, it's inaction, or course of conduct on the part of any registered Muslim. And I'm reading that, but remember, the minister had talked about our greater community and that all Black people are part of the nation. Remember him saying that? Okay. So this was in my mind as I was reading this, which impedes or opposes the provisions of this article shall be considered an offense against the purposes of the Muhammad Mosque. So this inaction can be considered an offense. So with that said, my question is, what is your opinion regarding women becoming a wife and a mother as the natural roles? So I read this question that talked about her gifts and talents. Yes, we can become doctors and lawyers and architects and, anything, nurses, right? We can do all of that, teachers. But our natural roles, wife and mother, is like a God given right to become. Do you agree that those are roles and they're just as important to becoming a doctor, architect, whatever? Becoming a wife is very important. Now, it's up to Allah if you become a mother or not, right? But becoming a wife is very important for women. And then if you do agree with that, based on what we just read in this Constitution, and applying it and saying, yeah, when it said the woman shall rise as high as her God-given gifts and talents will allow her, well, the talent of becoming a wife, because remember, we're trained to become wives. We have 7 units. I mean, this is not a lightweight thing in our nation. We take becoming a wife and mother very seriously. So those being roles that deserve respect, just like all of those other occupations I just listed, right? So divine right. And then if you do agree with that, why is this important to a society and a nation? Meaning, Why is it important for women to become wives in a society and a nation?
Mhm. I think it goes back to what, right. I think it goes back to what we touched on a little bit earlier. And I absolutely believe that becoming a wife and a mother is not only natural, but it's profoundly important. Um, and I'm sure I've heard the minister say a long time ago, being a wife, mother, that is he said, that is your base, but not necessarily your place.
That's right.
He said it is your base, not necessarily your place, but you are to rise from your base. Gosh, I'm not going to mess up the quote, but basically you rise from your base, but
right, to whatever God-given talents that Allah blesses you with.
Exactly. So being that it's your base, we have to look at what is the base. The base is the foundation. And the foundation, like we talked about earlier, the foundation of any nation is a family. The basis of any nation is, and in this, it's not only husband, but we're talking about a wife. And I would venture to say that the vast majority of Black women in particular want to be married. I would definitely venture to say that. I think that in this society, it does make it difficult because of the challenges that men are facing on the other side. And you touched on that earlier too. But I do think that it's extremely important that we understand what it means to be a wife. But I also want to touch on this, and I don't want to negate anything that I just said, but there are some women who, how can I put it? You talked about the different careers and things that women would like to go into. And
this was, I just want to give some context real quick. This was for a situation from the perspective of women who want to become a wife, right? Okay. And you have situations where there are men that that in some cases are refusing to get married. And then they're living in singleness, and they're in inertia. They don't even realize they're in inertia, right? But that's really where they are, because according to supreme wisdom, they're the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. So if they're not stepping up into that God-given description and role of themselves as the original man, and they're stuck in this inertia, refusing to take on the title of husband, then they prevent her from becoming wife. And according to Article 7, that is a grave offense. And so it's like it's all connected. So how do we get our community, really? Because there's some women too that are saying, a marriage is just a piece of paper. I mean, the thought process and the just minimalizing the sanctity of marriage and how important it is to say those vows to each other. It's really appalling, and it's so sad when you look at the statistics. How do we get ourselves out of this quagmire into understanding how important it is that what you said early, family is the basis, the foundation of nation. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that. How do we help our brothers and our sisters? But I specifically started with brothers because I keep hearing the crisis is on their side. Women want to be married. Right. They're waiting for courtship. Exactly. Like, I don't know, right? I need more time, and they're like 65, like how much more time do you need? Okay. I mean, what is going on? And you've never been married. Okay. Or the last time you were married, you were divorced 30 years ago. So you've been single for 30 years. What's going on, brothers?
Mhm. Well, you know what? I would say this. On the one hand, we do have, because I know single brothers and sisters who want to get married, and I do know also. Now, don't take this the wrong way. Okay, let me just. I'm just gonna. I'm throwing this out there parenthetically.
Give it to us, Sister AT.
Yeah,
Give it to us.
there you go. Just put it
Raw,
on the table.
uncut, uncensored. Give it to us. Don't hold it back. Don't hold it.
Don't hold back. Don't hold
Give
back.
it to us raw, sister.
Yes, just put it out there, sis.
Some of us are looking for a brother in a certain package that we have predetermined in our mind that is what we want, and that's the only thing that we'll take. And I'm saying, don't get caught up in the package. Get to know the brother and find out if what's in the package is the package that you've really been looking for, but you're overlooking it because these eyes are not seeing through these eyes. Okay, now that's parenthetically. Now, on the other hand, I'm reminded of this. Let us make man. That was the basis of the Million Man March.
Right.
As you said, sisters do want to get married. I think that we cannot necessarily force the type of change that we're looking for, except for in this way. A sister can, first of all, you don't want to go try changing a brother just, forcefully. You change people by changing yourself.
Come on, teach.
And by changing yourself, you automatically will bring about a change in everything around you, everybody around you. They will be forced to reckon with the new you. Now, as it relates to our brothers, I think that one of the most important things that we need to do is find out why. You have brothers who've been in the FOI or whatever for years and years and years. I think in a not in a I'm gonna beat you up type of thing and come down with a sled. Find out why the brother's not married. Find out what are the reasons. Some brothers have. I've heard this a lot. Some brothers have been through the ringer when it comes to child support, and they said they don't want to go through that again. That's real. You have to deal with that. We have brothers who don't feel that they measure up economically to what the sisters are saying that they want. Right. That's real. Got to deal with it. We have some brothers who want to be gainfully employed, but they need help.
They need help.
And we need to put together programs or plug into programs that will help that brother get from point A to point B. Finances is huge for brothers. I mean, I'm just saying this based upon my talking with brothers. Finances is huge. Right. And that runs the gamut, not just in child support, but being gainfully employed, being employed enough to make a certain money to serve. Because you have sisters who are saying, well, I want to get married and I don't want to work. Well, of course, there has to be a discussion between you and him. And that is a lofty, that's a good goal. But how do you in today's economy, how do you help that brother
come on
to that point where he is able to be the sole provider? I mean, looking at today's economy, I mean, real talk. Exactly. So, and I've heard, I was listening to, I can't remember the name of the speech, but the minister was talking about how he said, okay, he talked about the economy. He talked about how it's difficult, but he said, this was for married couples, obviously, but he said, you have to get together with your better half and you all sit down and you plan how we are going to make this happen. If that is what you aspire to. But some of us don't want to get together and talk with our better half and devise and talk about any kind of plan. We just want to, we just shut down. But I think that it's very important to look at the fact of why. and address those things without beating up on brothers.
Right.
Exactly.
But address it from a point of view of some type of assessment has to be done to ascertain exactly why you have brothers who've been around for years and years and years have never gotten married. Why? And we want to come and find out from a point of view of we genuinely want to help that brother overcome whatever obstacle that he may be dealing with. So that would be my approach, because I don't think, I mean, every time we hold an event, a singles event, retreat, whatever, the sisters are there. And,
every time.
Large number.
And even when I was studying up on retreats, I went to a couple of my friends. They are Christian churches. I went to their couple of their retreats and talked to them. They have the same problem.
Yes, exactly.
It's not an NOI thing. It's this is
it's a greater Black community thing. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is you have to get past that and get to the why. And once you know the whys, then you can put together whatever program or whatever needs to be done to help that brother get from point A to point B. And it's something that's doable. But I think approach is everything. How we approach the brothers is everything, because a brother does not want to feel disrespected. Brothers don't want to feel talked down on.
That's true. That's right.
Exactly.
And they're right as a man. So I think approach everything, and I think that's how we have to deal with it.
I want to share this before we ask the next question. I know some communities where they actually pitch in to help the newlywed couple with down payments for a home. Or if someone owns like an apartment building, like multi-unit apartment building, they hold some of the apartments for newlyweds to live in them for 6 months rent-free while they're saving their money, getting it together so they can leave and then buy a home or have a cushion. But the whole community comes together to support that new couple. Inshallah, I would love to see us be able to do something like that, because you're right. That is a big issue, because of course, obviously he's the maintainer on all levels. And if a brother doesn't feel like he can actually step into that role, well, then that would be a failure. And who wants to fail, right? So then he puts it off while he's constantly saying, I'm saving, I'm trying to get to this. Well, he needs some help. If he needs some help, we need to find a way in our community, as other communities have acknowledged this issue and problem and helped couples and helped brothers become husbands. I love what you said. And that whole why question is important. It wouldn't be us asking the brothers. It would be the brothers asking their own brother how they can help them, right? Because steel sharpens steel. That's what we were taught. That's what we believe. So, but you're right. This problem is an epidemic. That's why I said the greater Black community, because it is a bigger issue, not just in the nation. It is a bigger, and actually in the nation, we might have more marriages going on in the nation than elsewhere. But in terms of looking at those numbers, it's still uneven though. So thank you for answering that question.
Absolutely. And can I just add to that? We have to normalize helping each other too. Like, for example, when you look at wealthy families, you know what they do? They help them get a house. Here are the keys.
Exactly.
That's what wealthy people do. They pass on wealth. Now, in other countries, they do some of what you talked about. Back in the day, during when Libya was, before they got bombed to smithereens, they had a law where newlywed couples got a stipend. I think it was thousands of dollars. I can't remember exactly the amount, but they got thousands of dollars to help that couple do what they had to do. If you had a baby, you got 2 years off paid. So it was normal in that society, and it's normal like that in other societies. We have to normalize helping each other without each other feeling like I'm getting a handout, because it's not. We have to create an environment where I don't know how we would do this, but it would be great to have some kind of fund set up where, and this is something that would be long term, but if we set up a fund and we gave each married couple a stipend to help them get on their feet and help them get going, I mean, that would be great. But we have to
That would be amazing.
Right. We have to normalize it, and we have to make sure that we are that we build in our culture that this is what we do.
That's right.
We support marriage and family to the point where we're going to put money behind strong family and marriages. So I think that's something that's a long-term thing, but I would love to see it done.
To everyone, we do have some questions in the chat. If I could pull a couple of them, and we could go into them briefly. It says here, oh Allah, I'm trying to pronounce this name, Tasman Lee Ray. Okay, what she writes is Assalamu alaikum. Question: We do.
Who do we?
Who do we? Thank you. Who do we go to when we are ready for courtship, and what are the official qualifications needed for a brother to take that next step?
That's a
good one. I think that was a brother asking that question.
Yeah. You know what you do? What you do is you go to your local, say you see a sister in the mosque or whatever, you're interested in her. What you do is you go to your brother, student captain, and you ask him, find out, is she available? Number one, first, find out, is she available?
Right.
And if she's available, and then you would pitch the question, and you ask him to arrange for an introduction with that sister. Well, first, what he's going to do is find out if she's available and if she's interested in courting you. If she's not interested in courtship, then it stops right there. Don't stop.
The sister could reply with some questions.
Pardon me?
I've heard of sisters replying with questions.
Right. Some sisters may want to find out more about the brother. Some basic questions. Is the brother employed? Is he ready to have a family? You don't want to get too deep into that, because then you get into courtship questions. But the main thing is that you want to find out the availability of that person, and you want to arrange, if they are interested in courtship with you, then you arrange for, the both of you to be brought together to introduce you. And hopefully before you've courted that person, I'm hoping that you've at least had a conversation with that person, and that you're not just courting a complete stranger. And I think it was mentioned earlier that, a good way to get to know each other is through the work. Maybe at study groups, you'll find out something about that person's mind. Hopefully you would have had some kind of conversation with that person, and you're not just going to courtship with a complete stranger. But if the person says no, don't get all bent out of shape. Maybe that's just not the person for you. Don't stalk them, and I can't have you. Nobody's gonna have you. Don't go into that. Just all right. Don't I know your feelings are gonna be hurt a little bit, but
it will be.
It will be right. So,
keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Allah will bless you.
You will be blessed with the right person.
With the right person.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Don't worry, and don't get all sad because it's not personal.
That's right.
Maybe a person was just not feeling you. It's not personal. Maybe they're looking for somebody else or whatever. So
just let it go.
Let it
go. Let it go.
Let it go.
TKO.
We do have another question here. Sister Ayana Asante, she was my guest in Miami recently. All praises due to Allah. She was a good friend of Student Minister Akbar. May Allah be pleased with him. But she is not registered in the Nation of Islam. But she has a question: how to talk about abstinence, especially when you are in the older age group and have children.
I'm assuming that means, how do you talk about abstinence with the person you're interested in? You got to let that person know from jump that I'm living an abstinent life, period. I mean, there's nothing going on. I mean, just, In all seriousness, you have to be upfront, and you have to be I mean, I'm not exactly sure where the person is coming from, but I'm assuming that if they meet somebody that they're interested in, and they are wanting to remain chaste or abstinent, then I think the most important thing is to be upfront and let that person know that, you know, I do not believe in sex before marriage, and I'm living an abstinence life. That's it. Just be upfront. Don't prolong it. Don't wait until they're looking at you a certain kind of way, like, you know, you're like, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Be upfront and let the person know.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. My question, Sister AT, sometimes in some of these arguments in marriage, the arguments can arise with the assertion that my role is more difficult than your role, or my role is more important than your role. You know, the husband thinking his role is more important than the wife thinking her role is more important, more difficult than the husband. And that can be at the core of some of these arguments. Could you please comment on this polarizing assertion that my role is more difficult or more important than your role?
First of all, I would say the moment that the couple starts keeping score on whose role is the most important, they've already lost the spirit of marriage, because marriage is a partnership. You
Come
know,
on.
it's teamwork. And I mean, I know that it is teamwork. And if you are not willing to work as a team and recognize that each other's functions may be different, but they're both important, then you've already lost. Nobody's role is more difficult or more important. And the thing is that you can't even make the comparison. For example, there are different categories that are not comparable. For example, how do you weigh the man protecting his family versus the woman may have a function, she may be pregnant? I mean, weigh that. That's two different categories.
Right.
You can't, there is no
You can't measure it.
you can't measure it like
yeah,
that.
you can't measure
Right. There's
that.
two different measuring sticks for each role that or function that the person
Right.
does. So you don't even try. Okay. And I think, you know, when a person says, but you got to look at the underlying thing too. If you have a spouse who says that my role is harder than yours, you got to translate that, because what they may be saying is that they feel unseen, or maybe they're saying that they feel unsupported, or maybe that they don't feel appreciated. So sometimes when people say that, they're really saying something else. And so we have to look at what's behind their words, because a lot of times, you know, they may say it, but, you know, they know that they can't compare apples and oranges, but maybe they're saying, you know what, you don't show appreciation to me enough. And so we have to look at the hidden language or the hidden meaning behind what they're communicating.
Great point. Great point. Thank you, sis.
Pulling on that inertia theme, people can have inertia that are in marriages, right? Like just get stuck in a rut, and like that's it. And people would say, wow, you know, my marriage is kind of boring, or we had more fun when we were courting, things like that. So my question would be, keeping love alive in a marriage is very important. I think we can all agree to that. So how can husbands show their love for their wife, and how can a wife show her love for a husband on a daily basis? Because what we've been hearing from some of our other guests is that marriage is work that you work on every day, right? And so if they do these things, the things that you're going to share with us, if they do these things, can they preserve the marriage?
Yes, I believe so. And you know what? I was listening to Student Minister Brother Nuri. He said something really, really key. He said the language of men is honor and the language of women. I'm sorry, I'm paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing. So
I
this
think
is
it's
basically the gist of what he said. Men are looking for honor, and the language of a man is honor, and the language of a woman is security. So if the man can fulfill security for the woman and make that woman feel secure, he is fulfilling he's addressing a very natural basic need in a woman, and vice versa for the woman, she's addressing a very basic need for the man to feel honored. Now, some of the other little nuts and bolts things that we can do, number one is pray together. You may not be together throughout the whole entire day, but at least you may work a swing shift or something, I don't know, but pray together either in the morning, pray together either in the evening, or
Make a phone call. Let's pray together while we
you
have
can
a
even
break.
do that. You can even make a phone call, but you got to get a prayer in together every day.
Right.
Every day. Just pray every day and ask Allah for what you want as a couple every day. The other thing is daily check-ins. This is, these are like, they may seem like the normal small things, but the normal small things are actually the glue that holds everything together. And those daily check-ins, how are you doing? How was your day? Not
important.
just asking, just be asking. I want to know genuinely.
Important.
What happened in your day? How are you doing? How's your, a lot of times say, how are you doing without really digging into how are you doing? So how's your health? What's going on with you? The other thing is show affection every day. It could be a hug, just show some type of affection to your spouse every day. Compliment each other on small things. It doesn't have to be something major. It could be just something little. Like my husband is a great cook, and I compliment him a lot about that. I'm like, my husband can throw down. So anyway, little bitty things like that.
Very cool.
And I want to say also show respect publicly. I've seen women put down their husbands in public. I think that is just awful. I mean, and there was a public figure I'm thinking about. I can't remember her name, but she was just throw out little pot shots about her husband. And it was like little subtle put downs, but when you're being put down, it's like real subtle.
Right.
Yeah, he don't do this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's those little bitty
passive aggressive. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly.
Passive aggressive. Yeah.
But you don't ever want to put down your spouse ever in any kind of way, shape, form, or fashion, ever. Not to their face, not behind their back, and certainly not in public. Just stop it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So, and then I want to also say that we can do little things for each other, but make sure that we're doing it out of a heart of, I really want to do this out of my heart. For example, you ask your husband, help me with the dishes. Yeah, all right. You banging the pots and you slamming the cabinets and stuff like that. You're helping, but you're really not helping. So, or the wife, she may greet the husband warmly. He comes in. And then, she may say, well, I'm looking out for him. And you go scrolling through his cell phone and just being nosy. I mean, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So those are like, don't do it. So, but I wanted to just say, all in all, it's the little things that you do for each other on a day-to-day basis. And have a date night. Go out with each other. It doesn't stop at courtship. It does not stop at courtship. When you gave each other flowers in the beginning of the marriage, that doesn't stop.
Come on.
It doesn't stop. Brothers, when you travel out of town, my father used to say this all the time to the brothers, so I'm just passing it on. Brothers, when you go out of town, come back with a gift for your wife. You should. You are a foolish man If you go out of town and don't come back with something, back with an hour, come back with something, okay? So
You show
those
that she's on your mind.
are exactly. And
Uh-huh.
brothers, acknowledge your anniversaries and remember her birthday.
Use your phone.
Right. If you can't do it in person,
calendar.
use your phone. But those are the little things that mean a whole lot. And we got to get to know each other's nature. For you as a man, maybe your birthdays may not mean too much, but you better not forget your wife's birthday. I'm just saying.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Learn to use that calendar thing.
Word to the wise.
Exactly. Put it in your your phone, put it in the calendar. My wife's birthday. Okay. So those are, like I said, those are the little things but they go a long way.
That's
and
right.
they may seem insignificant, but trust me, they are very important.
I want to, Sister AT, I want to mirror what you were saying on the male's perspective. I was doing some research today, to be exact, and I was, studying, and they actually did a poll in regards to what a man wants and desires for a woman. So they did the top 6 things that a man desires in a woman. The first thing was emotional safety and peace.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I can see that. That can kind of that mirrors both things. But then they also said respect, going back to what you were saying, Sister AT, and practicing the practice of, respect, and the art of just being receptive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, us as women, when we think we're right, we'll shut down, and do not want to hear reason coming from a man, so just being receptive of things,
Mm-hmm.
being loyal and faithful.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth one is support his purpose.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What he's pursuing, try to support it. Try to see what you can do to help him support and deal with, the lives that, the ironies and things that's going on outside of this world. And maybe your husband might not want to be a janitor or a trash man. He might want to do some other things, but because he's so tied up into paying the bills and making sure that the bills on time, find out what he wants to do in life.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's something definitely I think is key.
Right.
Friendship, going back to that friendship, and attractiveness, that chemistry, right? Not just walking past each other like we're roommates. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, babe, what's going on? You look good. You look good too, baby. You done lost some weight, didn't you? I know it. I know it's that bean soup, but just that attraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
That realness. And the last thing is sharing values. A lot of times we don't like to share because we are so used to being by ourselves. So when we do get with those partners, it's very hard to share the values and the respect of the relationship. So
Right.
I thought that those are very key things as it relates to what a man and these are men here. What do y'all think? Is this on point, or okay, these are not men in the audience. Okay, praises be to Allah. Oh.
No,
Praises be to Allah, Brother Mark.
that is right. That's very important. And I think one of the things that you said was not shutting the brother down. Maybe you might have an opinion about something, and you may not mean to, but you may shut him down.
Right.
From experience, because I'm a very strong-willed person. And when I first got married, I had to temper myself because I have look, if I have something to say, I'm gonna say it, okay?
Right.
But I had to like, okay, T, you gotta pull back a little bit, okay? Because I saw that I was like shutting him down, and I didn't mean to, but I'm just saying I had to like shut myself down a little, not shut myself down, but I had to keep my mouth shut and just listen. And that's so important. And
Hold
listen,
back. Hold back, right?
but I had to listen too.
That's
And I
right.
had to humble myself because, like I said, I can be very strong-willed, and I can, I'm just saying. So, but you said support his purpose. I think that's really important because if a brother is working long hours and he wants to say go into a certain business or something, you might have that extra time to do the research, help him out with maybe just finding out what does it take for you to do or get to from point A to point B.
That's right.
You can do that research. You might have that time. You may have certain skills to start a business, like, the basics, like incorporating or whatever. And the other thing is that I see all the time, a lot of trainings and stuff like that. Harvard right now, I believe is offering free certificate trainings for certain AI and tech jobs.
I got mine.
Right. I was going to put on my Facebook and my Instagram. Today is the last day. Courtship. It's another online school where you can also sign up to learn more about AI and using it to make money. It's a $20 training. So I'm going to post that on my social media for whoever wants to, access it. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of trainings out there that you can access, but maybe your husband or your he may not have time. So you all sit down together and go over what is it going to take for me or for you to get from point A to point B. And then you put together a plan. Okay, I need these skills. I need to do X, Y, and Z. Put together a plan. And as they say, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And if you don't write it down, it's a dream. It's not going to come into reality. You got to put it down on paper, write down the steps. And what is it going to take for you to get it? What are the resources in terms of maybe money? What are the resources in terms of education or training or even people that you need to bring into the fold to make this thing happen? But we talk about do for self, but a lot of us have to learn the nuts and bolts of doing for self. All of us are not entrepreneurs. Some of us need help learning how to get from point A to point B or to establish this business, or maybe a group of us coming together in a business. But it takes resources in terms of information, people, and then, ching ching, a little bit of money. So
praises be to Allah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Sister AT, for your time with us this evening. Yes, these have been very rewarding minutes, and it serves the theme of our program, which is to help save lives. And we certainly know that marriage and families are at the core of saving our lives. So,
sir, my honor. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all for inviting me, and I thank all of the feedback and the questions. I've grown from this just as much. I hope everybody else has. And I want to thank you all for inviting me to be a part of this. So,
praise be to Allah.
And Sister AT has the book now too, because I sent it to her.
She got the book. And the name of the book is Relationship Talks.
Right. Yes.
Get on Amazon and support our sister.
Shout out, Sister Katrina.
Thank you, Sister AT.
And for those of you, I did put the link in the chat, so you can just click on the link and it will go right to Amazon, and you'll be able to purchase Sister Katrina's book right through that link. All right.
Thank you.
No excuse. No excuse.
And Sister AT, are you on what social media platforms are you on?
Facebook under my first and my middle name, A.T. Hamid. That's Facebook. And on my Instagram, I'm under A.T. Fan Club. So you'll find me on either both of those.
Allahu Akbar.
And can I say this one
Allahu
more last thing? Your
Yes,
mind,
ma'am.
your mind is a magnet. You will attract
Mine is a mag.
what you think you will attract. So
Ooh, make that go viral.
Beautiful.
Mine is a magnet.
Beautiful teacher.
Yes. Praise.
Sister
be to Allah.
Kalila, are you still going to send the courtship manual out for people who they didn't get their copy the last time?
Yeah,
When
definitely.
Sister was on? Okay.
Yes, definitely send your requests for that manual to the 7th Region Coalition at gmail.com. And that is 7th Region Coalition at gmail.com. And again, we need your support. Take it away, Brother Tony.
Like how we do at the mosque when we close out the meeting. Well, we're going to do it this way. Beloved family, we do not receive any grants, nor do we want any grants from anybody that may have some kind of stipulation on what we could talk about and what we can't talk about, and all this, that, and the third. Beloved family, we want to continue teaching and broadcasting these broadcasts uninhibited through the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the most perfect guidance of the honorable Minister Farrakhan. It is those teachings and that guidance that brings life. And when you're hearing us talk about relationships, guess what? Some of us may be saying, well, I'm not registered. Well, the way that we've taught, this is a methodology given to us by God himself.
That's right.
And so it is the very best thing for us. So if you experience something tonight in our discussion about relationships, in our discussion about determining who your divine right one is, as Sister A.T. Put it in the title. Beloved family, we do need your support. We fund ourselves. We fund each other. We do for self. That we need unity. And the greatest display of unity that we could have is when we support one another. If you can please support whatever you can with whatever you can tonight. It does not have to be a large amount, but we will not refuse a large amount. Anything will be awesome, even if it's $1 or $2. We have this Cash App available for donations, $ 7th Region Coalition 29. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you for whatever you're able to donate tonight. May Allah continue to bless you all and your families.
All right. With that being said,
Are we continuing next week, Sister Kalila?
Happy birthday to you.
And we continue.
Happy birthday to you.
Birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes,
Happy birthday, Sister Kalila.
Yes,
Thank you.
The 50th anniversary crown on.
Happy birthday.
And I know I look like I'm 30, y'all. Just
Yeah, I'm like,
20.
there's no way. 50, no ma'am.
Yeah, eat the little beautiful thing.
Beautiful.
We are continuing our relationship series next week. Man, this is going to be like what? 2 full months?
Yes,
2 full months. And you all have to tune in next week. Ooh, we have some more great guests that are coming.
Yes,
I can't tell you who it is, but it's coming.
You're going to see the flyer very soon.
Thank you, Sister A, so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you, everybody.
Assalamu alaikum.
Tune in next week, dear family. May Allah continue to bless you.